Strong female leads are taking over entertainment. Hot take, all these independent women kicking ass and taking names are actually a problem. What we need are more weak heroines. The ones people love to hate and hate to love. But why? To figure this out, let's look at 3 notoriously weak heroines. Maxi from Under the Oak Tree, Bella from Twilight, and Sansa from Game of Thrones. Some people have said Maxi is an old cliché, weak, unskilled, and afraid, and they don't see how she could be a main character. Sansa is a boring, weak coward, and Bella is a personality-devoid, whiny brat. Why do we see these women as weak? What might we be getting wrong, and what's the problem with the stereotypical strong female lead? Weak trait 1. Passivity. All 3 of these weak heroines have difficult pasts. Maxi was beaten by her cruel father, forced to recite poetry, and punished every time she stuttered. Sansa's unhinged fiancé murdered her family and abused her, and Bella's parents went through a divorce? Okay, that last one seems pretty far removed from the other women's experiences, but remember Bella lives in a realistic world like ours. So yeah, does she have it better than the other girls? Undoubtedly. But trauma is relative, and she certainly feels isolated and alone. We don't respond negatively to these characters because of their difficult pasts. Instead, it's the ways the women cope that we dislike. Maxi, Sansa, and Bella don't take up swords and fight back, confront their oppression head-on, or assert themselves. Instead, they remain silent and focus on not taking up space. But strong trait, adaptability. Could these passive behaviors actually be a strategy? All 3 women do what they need to do in order to survive. By remaining pliant and quiet, Maxi is able to survive her abusive father's rage, find love, and become a powerful mage. Sansa remains polite and meek, and she becomes queen in the north because others underestimate her. And Bella's biggest strength is her silence. Literally, Edward can't read her mind because she's immune to vampire mental powers. The adaptability of these 3 women is what saves them. Weak trait 2. Stupid choices. Maxi, Sansa, and Bella all put themselves in difficult situations by making decisions while young. Maxi and Sansa don't have a choice when it comes to their marriages, since women are property in their worlds. Instead, their biggest life decision is determining how to cope with these 2 very different partners. And crying. A whole lot of crying. Bella has more freedom in her decision-making, but she is just a 17-year-old girl facing the eternal choice to become a vampire. She may not be as big of a crier, but Bella is completely obsessed with Edward to the detriment of her other relationships. But strong trait, relatability and growth. All 3 women make mistakes, but these mistakes make them human and remind us of our own failures, which may be part of the reason we find their behavior so annoying in the first place. And their realistic emotional responses, even the annoying ones, balance out idealistic characters by showing how real people behave. Maxi decides to study as a mage to escape self-hatred and become who she wants to be. Even though it risks her relationship, in the long run, the decision brings her closer to Riften. Sansa is manipulated and makes bad decisions, but she learns from her mistakes and outplays everyone else to earn her crown. And Bella may be obsessed with Edward, but she also knows what she wants. She feels she is meant for the life of a vampire. She fulfills her own goal even if we disagree with it. Teens, am I right? So maybe these stupid choices make these women relatable, and their growth should be admired. Weak trait 3. They aren't badass. Slaying dragons with swords, throwing punches, fighting side by side against the enemy. None of these are things that Maxi, Sansa, and Bella do, or are even capable of doing. Their physical prowess cannot match that of the men around them. But, strong trait, using femininity to win. There are more ways to win a fight than using a sword. Maxi is able to find mutual understanding because her gentleness and compassion draw Riften to her. Sansa uses her beauty and diplomacy to woo soldiers and reclaim her homeland. And Bella, when she's not stumbling over things, uses her emotional vulnerability to allow Edward to open up because she refuses to see him as a monster. Edward is forced to assess his self-loathing for the first time. These 3 women may not be on the battlefield wielding swords, but they are fighting in their own way. So it looks like these weak heroines aren't so weak after all. Maybe we see them as weak because of what the patriarchy has told us is strong. And it's this same patriarchal filter that makes stereotypical strong female leads problematic. This doesn't mean we should eliminate the formulaic, strong female characters that break the patriarchal mold. because they are not the problem. Instead, the problem is the failure to understand and champion different kinds of strength. We need more female representation across the board that reflects human complexity. Even calling a female lead strong is weird. We don't do that with male characters. Men are just male leads and assumed to be strong, as opposed to women who have the qualifier of strong as a blanket description. Maxi, Sansa, and Bella all embrace vulnerability and use it to their advantage to take control of their narratives, whether that leads them to magic powers, a throne, or true love. Their tenderness and sensitivity doesn't weaken them. Patty Jenkins, the director of Wonder Woman, put it best when she said, "If women have to always be hard, tough, and troubled to be strong, and we aren't free to be multidimensional or celebrate an icon of women everywhere because she's attractive and loving, then we haven't come very far, have we?" Ultimately, these three characters saved the day in a way none of the men around them would have been able to do. It is their differences that people complain about that set them apart and make them their own kind of strong. What do you think? Is our assessment correct? Who are some traditionally weak heroines that you think are actually strong in their own way? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.